Hey, what's up everyone? Mel here, and I'm back this week to show you how I dialed in last week's demo, the Hexdrive with the SLO. And if you don't remember the tone, this is how it sounded. And to break down our signal chain real quick, I've got a Legator equipped with Guitarmory pickups going into the Hexdrive, into the SLO, and then directly into my interface, which I have gated by the Neural DSP Zuul. I'm using the default settings on the IRs, and this is how it sounds. I think with everything at 12 o'clock, it sounds like a solid, nice SLO tone. I've heard a lot of people compare the SLO to the rectifier series from Mesa because they have very tangential qualities. And just by how this sounds, even though it isn't the actual SLO, I say I agree. With the gain and everything at 12 o'clock, it has a really nice, crunchy, but a really big bottom end sound. And what I like to do in these demos is get a solid tone that I think is solid for recording and a mix setting, because that's how I usually demo it to y'all, with just the head alone. So with that, I'm going to start by turning some knobs. Because I feel like the gain might be lacking a little. I feel like it could crunch up for that modern metal sound. I'm going to push that up and see what happens. So I like how that sounds already. Pushing the gain is a lot more than I'd usually do, especially since the amps that I have in this series are usually high gain on their own. But I think this is solid because it leaves room for the overdrive to shine. Since the tone sounds a little muddy to me, I'm going to back off the bass. And I think that clears things up a bit. And now since I've cleared up that low end, I feel like the mids are a little bit in the way. So I'm going to pull back the mids and see what it sounds like. I think that sounds solid. You know, for that modern metal sound, you get a lot of pick attack. And I think if I pulled up the pick attack by turning up the treble, I'd get that sound. And I think that sounds solid for a recording setting. I think I could bump the bass up a little more. And I think a lot of buildup can happen with the bass and the treble frequencies interacting with each other. So pulling up back the mids, I'd raise the mids a little bit for if I was doing lead stuff, and then bring up the bass just to give it back that umph. So in my opinion, that's a solid Soldano tone. And here's what it sounds like isolated in the mix. So that was the sample you heard in last week's demo. And now let's just turn on the Hexdrive and see what it adds. Here's what it sounds like before. And then let's turn on the Hexdrive. So because I turned on the Hexdrive, I immediately hear a lot more pick attack. And I think that leaves me some room, so I'm going to back up the drive just to see what type of EQ shift happens with the Hexdrive. Seems like turning up the drive is still a solid idea, so I'm going to pull that up like a little bit of the way. And you can hear that pick scrape come back. I think I might be able to pull back the treble just because I've got that added pick scrape. And then let's see what happens when I add the tone and see what type of difference So a lot of overall treble is lost when you pull back the knob. And it gets really thinned out and really excessive when you pull it all the way to the top. So let's see what happens with the tone here. And to be honest, I really like the tone cranked all the way. I think it really helps the overall sound, and I think this is pretty close. I'm gonna see how much gain I can get away with from the pedal to see how much characteristics I can pull just from the pedal. So I'm gonna dial back the gain. And then add back the gain from the pedal. And you can tell that doing it this way gives you a lot more pedal effects than amp saturation, which I think has its place. I'm going to pull back the gain a little bit just so I can get that rounded palm mute sound. And now that I have what I feel like is the top end cleared up, I'm going to bring back the bass just to see what it sounds like. I think that sounds super solid. The guitar feels really responsive. The pick attacks feel really clear. All right, I think that's a solid tone. Let's hear what it sounds like without the Hexdrive. And I think that's a solid crunch tone compared to what it sounded like with the Hexdrive on. If I up the gain a little bit, I don't feel like it gives me that type of bite. Pulling up the gain, I think it's a solid tone for like a rhythm section, but the added articulation you get from the Hexdrive really feels like it pulls it together. So there you have it. There's the tone I dialed in from last week. And let's check out the demo again from last week just so you can hear how it sounded like in context. Alright, so there you have it, me dialing in the SLO with the Hexdrive. I hope y'all dug this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the process of me dialing in this tone. If there's any other pedals and combinations that you want to see me try out with the Fortin gear, please let me know. And if you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up button, ring the bell for notifications, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments. What Fortin gear combination do you want me to try out on the channel? Again, I'm Mel from Fortin Amps, and I'll catch you on the next one.